Hello.
Always great getting to see your face.
It's so nice to see you too.
And I see that you're wearing our shirt that we got from Sun Studio. And I think this time 2 years ago, we were there. I've been
Yeah.
getting the notifications and just re-looking at all the photos. I was going through my old phone yesterday, actually, on the balcony, and I literally went through like the entire trip and like relived it, and it was just so magical. And I'm so glad I still have all those photos, and did like the whole like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame tour again, like Graceland. It was just spectacular.
I only regret like not getting more merch for myself and not getting more like that ashtray that I had found, and I wish I would have spent more money. I wish I wouldn't have been as
Yeah.
frugal and
It's
oh,
interesting
what a
because
dream.
yeah, actually yesterday I went out for a walk with my dad, and he wore his Amoeba Music shirt that I got in LA when we went. And I was thinking, like, it's crazy, like they're not even at that store anymore because of everything that's been going on. And yeah, I didn't get myself a shirt. I just got him one, and I was like, damn it, why didn't I just, spend the extra 20 and get my own? Like,
Next time we travel though, that's a good lesson. It's like, should I, shouldn't I? Then like I'll look at you and go, do it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
those memories are some of the best ones that I like have. Traveling in general. And
I
then yeah, that was a really magical time. And I try not to wash the shirt too much because I don't want it to fade and I don't want it to like fall apart. But hey, if it does, we just have to take another
Another
trip
trip.
to Memphis.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that was such a magnificent.
Les, Daniel, will you have us? Will you have us
Yeah.
back?
We'll think of someone else to talk about at Sun Studio, and then we'll record there again.
Yeah, I recently sent a postcard to Sun Studio.
Oh,
Yeah, I
nice.
sent Plaza little postcard.
Cute.
Yeah. Well, I think if Dee Dee got hers,
Yeah.
then I think he probably got his. So
It was nice seeing Dee Dee post it. And yeah, so other Patreon members, you'll be getting some
if you're
cards
the
soon.
$10
Yes.
subscriber, then we send postcards and things like that and things in the mail.
Yeah. What else have you been up to?
I got a bicycle.
I saw it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Everything about that bike is perfect. You've been
So
riding around?
yeah, it's a hybrid, so it's good for like country roads and a little bit of gravel and everything. And I just love it. If I go out one way, then I can kind of bike and go see the cows. If I go another way, I can go and see the horses. And it's just lovely. It's so nice. It feels so good. And I feel so lucky. And I've been doing a little bit of Pilates.
Cool.
Um, what else? I've been eating mostly vegetarian because TJ's been gone to Montreal for the month of August. So I haven't been barbecuing as much. And I've just been making myself like ready-made meals, like a couscous salad with veggies and stuff like that. So I've been mostly vegetarian this month, which has
Nice.
felt nice. What about
Yeah.
you? What have you been up to?
Um, I've tried to go to the island as much as I can. We have these tiki taxis that you can take. So I haven't taken the ferry because I'm just a little nervous about crowds. So it's nice you get like your own private taxi over there. And there are spots that are pretty bare of people. So it's been pretty cool. And been doing some late night pool hopping as well.
What?
Yeah,
Good for you.
enjoying the sun, getting a tan, just having as much fun as we can during this time. And now I'm starting to kind of look for work for the fall, and been watching a lot of Canada's Drag Race. I saw you're just new to RuPaul's Drag Race.
I'm brand new. I had never even seen one single episode of Drag Race until this summer. And so I just chose to dive in season 5 at random because I figured like, give the show time to like ramp up its momentum. I didn't want to start at season 1, but I'll
Mhm.
likely once I finish go back and do like season 4, season 3.
Yeah, they're all good. I mean, the production quality, of course, gets better, but the talent is always great, right?
Yeah. So how are you watching the Canadian one? Is it on like
It's on
the
Crave.
Oh, okay, great.
They're all on Crave, actually.
Okay.
The whole show. And yeah, it's actually I'm very happy with the crop of queens that they have from Canada. They're really representing as well. The lip sync battles are just top notch. Like every time they blow me away. And I watch with my dad, and he's really cute. He'll go through like every category. Like he comments on their outfits, what he likes, what he doesn't like. He's like a judge. He could be a judge on Drag Race. Like, and he nails it every time. Like he says exactly what all the judges say. It's great.
I love your dad. Oh, he is so like he continues to surprise me in
Yeah.
such a nice way. And I think that's fantastic. I would actually love to watch it with my dad and yeah, see what he has to say. Because as much as he might think that, oh, it's like not really for me, I think that if we watched it and he got into it, he would probably, because he's such an appreciator of art and
Yep.
of performance, I think that he would probably end up liking it.
Well, that's what happened with my dad. I've been watching for years, and I always would tell him, like, you got to watch an episode here with me, like just one. It will suck you in. Like, he already was a fan of like drag queens and stuff from like the 60s and 70s, being downtown in the Toronto scene. And so he would tell me stories about like seeing them and everything. And I was like, well, like they've taken that and just upped it, to this level. So finally, I think maybe 2 seasons ago, he sat down and watched an episode with me. And now ever since, like, he'll be like, Drag Race is on tonight. Like, make sure your food's ready by like 8. Like, get yourself all set up. Like, it's like it's great. I love his enthusiasm for it.
Oh, what a king. What a king
Yeah,
of queens.
it's been a lot of fun.
I love it.
And I also watched this documentary with him that we're going to be talking about.
I loved it.
I thought you would. Yeah,
I learned
it was
so
great.
much.
Me too. Yeah. I never really realized how massive the Go-Go's were and how like influential they were. I remember loving them as a kid and, listening to them all the time, but it didn't register. Of course, I guess, you're young, you don't really realize like that they're, breaking ceilings here.
Yeah.
They were amazing. And it was really interesting. It was really interesting. I liked one of the first few quotes in the film about how people sort of assume like a man put them together, but that they did it all themselves.
Yeah.
And that's really, really amazing.
I learned a lot about the band. Like, I didn't know because of their legendary poppy sound. I didn't know that they started in punk.
Yeah, that's always and that was probably my favorite part of the documentary was them not only talking about how special and inclusive and magical that punk scene was, but to see all that early footage of them. And they really did start out like full-blown punk.
Mm-hmm. Not even knowing how to play their instruments, and that was okay.
Yeah, that's one other reason why I love punk in general. Most punk musicians say, they decided to create a band first and then was like, oh, okay, well, I guess we got to think about instruments now. It wasn't like these other musicians that are obviously great, like Zeppelin, and then where Eric Clapton, you're practicing and practicing and practicing in your room for like years, and then you form a band, right? I just like that they just did it. And I love that raw sound, and you can hear it in it. And, they might not have the technical aspect, but they have the passion.
Yeah. Totally.
That's why I love punk. The passion is there.
And just the timing of it, 1980, 1981, when they really got on their rocket ship to the moon, which happened quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
When did the 80s become a joke? Like, the 80s were awesome. And actually, like, now that I'm re-looking at the fashion in a new light, it's all come back and it's all cool again. And I just remember, like, maybe with that, the movie The Wedding Singer and everything like that, the 80s fashion had become like a total joke.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the
I think
90s
it
and
was like,
aughts.
yeah, I think it was maybe like the mid 80s where things kind of shifted and hair metal sort of became a thing. And that, of course, is sort of jokey because it's so put together, and maybe to them image was more important than music for some. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. But I agree, there's so much, and it's interesting because in general, I kind of have always dismissed 80s music because I always think of those ridiculous bands, like Flock of Seagulls and things like that. But there is so much good music in there too. It's just you kind of have to sift through the jokey kind of stuff or the things that got the most attention because they were a little bit ridiculous. But yeah, there's some great stuff in there. And that's another thing I forgot until I was watching the documentary was just how many great songs they had. And I was listening to some Go-Go's albums after this, and yeah, they're a lot of fun, and they really knew how to write music. Like it's fascinating that they learned along the way. Like they didn't even have confidence in it themselves. They were like, well, maybe I'll present this to the band and maybe they'll like it. Like that's amazing.
One thing that I learned that I thought was cool, also, like, of course, that would be cause for like chaos within the band, is that there were two songwriters, maybe three maximum, in that band, right?
Yeah.
And when they started to make more money because they had their name in the publishing,
Yeah.
then, people like Belinda and I've got all of their names written down here, maybe like Gina.
Gina.
It was hard for them, right?
Yeah.
But then what Belinda had, as we saw later as the band was disintegrating, that the other ones, even the songwriters, really didn't have, was that she was the voice, right?
Yeah.
She was that look, for a lot of people, it didn't matter who the band members were. Belinda was almost like,
absolutely.
So it was a real ride to see how they came together. And I wrote here, the Go-Go's started because the Sex Pistols sucked.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, damn, we need some new,
we
need some new music. We need some new faces, some people who actually care about the music. Pistols by that point were a little bit of a joke. But
yeah. But even their manager, Ginger, was so cool.
Yes, I know. She was amazing. And the fact that she put her heart and soul into it and spent her own money, like getting them on tours and
sold her car, sold her jewelry to get them to England.
Unbelievable. And what an incredible manager.
Yeah.
And of course, it's really sad to find out, along the way when money, of course, comes into it. That's when her role in the band, she was sort of shoved out as well because, it's almost like that scene in Almost Famous when Jimmy Fallon comes in. Like that's basically what happened to Ginger, right? Like, do you want to keep staying on the bus, or do you want your own private plane? Like, right? So,
but ultimately it seemed like it was too much too soon for them, and they couldn't handle the pressure, and it wasn't a gradual incline. It was that rocket ship, and it ultimately ended up, I don't want to say that it failed them, but they probably could have had better albums. They probably could have had a more sustained career. But the thing is it is what it is. And it's down in the history of rock. And they had to take a break once the band disintegrated. And eventually they got back together, did their Broadway play, got their star on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah. It's interesting because that's the thing that happens to so many bands, it seems. Once they really start making money and once the big labels come in, it's less about creativity and passion, and it's all just part of the machine. And then when you lose that passion, everything falls apart, right? Like your relationships with your other bandmates, little feuds start happening. Money is always something that causes issues. And it would be interesting if mental health mattered more in the industry. Like, it would be interesting if bands like this, young bands that were, early 20s, making it big, had someone at the label, like a therapist or something, like a band support system to
I think
help
that's
them.
happening more now. And I remember even the latest Canadian Music Week that we went to, there was a whole panel on that. So
it's something that's desperately needed, and it shows in all of these documentaries that we watch, and we read so many bands' stories, and like the minute that it starts becoming a money thing, something is lost. And for a lot of them, they turn to drugs and other ways of self-medication. So
I thought it was something how they kind of portrayed drugs and alcohol in two ways. One in a funny and carefree and of the times way, and then in the disastrous kind of way. So on the one hand, they said things like, Gina, I had $2,000 and 2 grams of coke, and then she was on her way to LA,
Yeah. And when Kathy Valentine was like learning all the songs, it was like on a bender, because that's the only way she could.
On a coke binge, she taught herself how to play bass.
Yeah.
She didn't know how to play bass. She learned it on guitar first and then learned it on bass just by listening to demos. They didn't even have a record out yet. It was so cool to see them improve, to watch their musicianship, to watch their talent grow with practice and experience and things like that. And then on the other side of the drugs thing, the lead guitarist and one of the songwriters, Charlotte, had been addicted to heroin.
Yeah.
And hiding it for pretty much the whole time the band was together.
Yep. Yeah. And the interesting thing about her story is that, when Jane left the band, it's such a sad moment. But if she hadn't left the band, and if Paula hadn't come in and spotted Charlotte's issues and tried to help her and say, like, look, I know this place. And like, it was really her that spurred Charlotte on to get help. Who knows what would have happened to her? It's really interesting.
Exactly. And then you saw the two sides of touring. You saw that good, happy, that's what we all want, that's what we'd all dream of side. And then you saw the nightmare side. So you saw the side where, they're in England, they're with the Specials, and they have relationships with the guys in that band.
Yeah.
And they're having the time of their lives in England. And then once it got to be too much, they're exhausted. They're just they're robots on stage. They're not even enjoying it. They're exhausted.
And that's another like mental health thing where, of course, if you're going nonstop on the road and you're young and there's drugs available and you're having fun and partying, and then it's a very fine line of, having fun and losing yourself on that road.
Yeah.
I really liked, and I didn't even know this, that Jane had a love affair with Terry Hall from the Specials, and Our Lips Are Sealed came out of that. That's so cool. Beautiful. Another little muse.
He was cute.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Specials are great, too. Like, they're awesome. They're a great band. I got to see them live a couple times.
Cool.
Yeah. I actually saw the Go-Go's live, too, in 2016 at Massey. And it was Belinda's birthday, and we all sang happy birthday to her.
That's so cute.
Yeah. They're good live.
Was it fun?
Yeah, it was great. It was really great. I was on the floor, too, so I got like a perfect view of it. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Damn, I just lost my train of thought. I wanted to ask you something, but I forget. Oh, the interband relationship. Jane.
Oh, yeah. Gina. Yeah.
We're together for a little while at the beginning.
Yeah. That's so cool, too. I have this quote from Alice Bagg. She's not interviewed in the documentary, I don't think, but they did, if anyone wants to look up more on them, they did like an oral history on the Vogue website. Mm-hmm. And they talked to people like Alice Bagg and Pleasant Gaiman and everyone. And she said People like to think of punk as a male white genre, and it's not. Here in LA, it was a scene that was, in fact, created by women. There were women who were promoters, photographers, writers, bookers. The Go-Go had a female manager, female roadies. We were everywhere, and I feel like we've been erased from history.
Whoa.
Yeah. And she makes a point to say, like, I want all of these stories of these managers, of these roadies, these photographers, these writers. Their stories need to be told too, and like their names should be known just as much as the men in the scene. And she's damn right.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's get some roadies on here.
And of course, punk is a female thing because it's about being an outsider and trying to find your place. And, you know, it makes sense that women were drawn to that scene of misfits because that's what we were in music at that time.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure. I can't believe that when they recorded their album, they were only 22. Or
It's
Belinda
crazy.
was 22 anyways, that I know. Like, what a time to start, you know?
Yeah.
So young. But I
Mm.
guess, like, if you don't know how to play instruments and you're 20, it's, like, still kind of time to, like, figure it out, I guess. One thing I enjoyed learning about was how they went on tour with the Police. And little things like when they were opening up for the Police, they eventually ended up surpassing the Police on the Billboard charts. So they were the first and still hold the title of only all female, sometimes I'm like all girl, all women, all female band to like play their own instruments and be number one on the Billboard chart.
Yeah.
And the guys from the Police came in and celebrated with them and brought champagne in, and they were good sports about it.
Yeah, and Miles Copeland, who was the manager of the Police, he was the one who sort of helped take them to the next level.
Yeah, you signed them to his record label, IRS Records, something like that.
And I love that it was like these very male bands that spotted the talent in them right away and wanted to tour with them and everything. I love that.
Yep. And then it was really good. Like, it was good timing that the Go-Go's were around at the start of MTV.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were gorgeous. They were fun. They were...
You wanted to party with them. Like, they looked like the best people to hang out with. Like, who wouldn't want to tour with them?
Mm-hmm. And then the first music video that they ever made was made on a budget of $6,000, which was the leftover money that the Police didn't use on their last music video. So yeah. I love that little kind of trivia.
I know, it's so cool. And yeah, it was so great seeing like all the footage of them at the Whiskey and all of that. And like you said, you can really see their progression live from, you know, learning their music, starting to get tight to like being kick-ass performers. It's really, really fantastic. Did you catch that line where they're talking about Charlotte's addiction issues later on? And they say that she got kicked out of Ozzy Osbourne's dressing room, and they're like, you know, you're bad.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, not, but kind of.
It's funny. One of the things that like I've heard about them forever was how like all the bands they toured with, you know, you think you see these cute girls who are playing this fun music, and they would out party literally every band that they toured with, like to the point where you're like, yeah, they're like, we can't anymore, you guys, like, please, like, stop. And Belinda Carlisle was actually a cocaine addict until like 2002. It took her like 30 years to finally get over her addiction. Yeah.
I can't even imagine being to cocaine for 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In terms of their partying, I wrote like, you know, they were cross-eyed drunk on SNL, but they still ended up selling records from that. What did you think about the people that they interviewed that weren't in the band, like Kathleen Hanna and Pleasant?
I obviously loved that both of them were in there, and I loved how much Kathleen kind of gushed about them being, you know, feminist without even kind of realizing it. It was just part of their everything that they were doing was feminist and influential. Just to even see them have that platform for women, out there like Kathleen, of course, that's going to be a huge inspiration. And yeah, I loved that they added her. And of course, Pleasant, because they were great friends, and Pleasant obviously got Jane into the punk scene, and she was roommates with Belinda. They didn't put this story in the documentary, but I don't know if Pleasant told us this story or if she just told me or something. But she told me once that when they were living at Disgraceland, they had a roommate upstairs. Not a roommate. They had like another apartment upstairs of a younger, like, teenage girl. And she would play her favorite songs over and over again on a loop. And one day suddenly it was like Our Lips Are Sealed over and over and over. And that it like was driving them crazy, especially Belinda, like hearing herself. And one of their roommates was like, you should just put some Noxzema on your face, like wrap a towel around yourself and like go upstairs and tell her to shut the fuck up.
Oh my God. Of course that would happen.
Yeah. Pleasant has the best stories. And for anyone who wants more on Pleasant and Belinda, Belinda was the first guest on Pleasant's podcast, The Devil's Music. And it's a really fun episode. And they talk about all their groupie years. And Belinda and Pleasant actually met in a hotel lobby because they were both there to stalk Freddie Mercury. So
I love them so much.
Right? Oh, and like God. on her podcast, Belinda gets like into her like groupie days and everything too. Like they have a lot of fun talking about that time together. So yeah, everyone should check that out.
Yeah, I like how the documentary just kind of ended with three people going like, wait, they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then someone else is like, what the fuck? And then Kathleen Hanna is like, they're in my Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah, it is important to note, like you already said, Beauty and the Beat remains the first and only album written and performed by an all-female band to reach number one on billboards, yet they're not in there.
Yeah.
It's nutty.
It was good though. I enjoyed it. My internet out in the trailer was pretty laggy. I got through the first, like, I got through most of it, and then I only had 10 minutes left, and I swear that 10 minutes
that's the worst.
It like took me a half an hour to watch it because it just kept pausing, and it's like, come on, I want to finish this. But
well, at least you got through like all the great band parts and everything. And it's really cool to note that they have this new single out now, and it's like reached number one, and they're, still kicking butt. And Belinda Carlisle wrote a book called Lips Unsealed in 2010. I read it. I have it just up there. I was thinking of doing an episode on her one day. And that's really interesting. And they go into more detail about the band issues and like the girls being jealous of her kind of being the front woman. And sometimes they would go to play at a show and it would say like Belinda Carlisle and the Go-Go's, and they would be upset about that, understandably, but it's not like Belinda did that. It was like the venue and
so
shit.
Like, not only was she the lead singer and she did have a great voice, she also had like a look.
Oh fuck yeah.
Oh my God. The like her face shape and the hair and just,
I know. And then when she went into her solo stuff, I feel like she looked like the modern Anne Margaret when she dyed her hair red and she had it like down to here, and like she like those cheekbones, like you said, like she's got a beautiful face. Like, you can stare at it forever. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to note that Kathy Valentine also wrote a book. It was published this year and I haven't read it yet.
Oh, but I bet that'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's plenty of other reading material out there. I was curious, were you ever a fan of Belinda's solo work? No? No. I actually loved her stuff in the early 90s.
Not because I didn't like it. It's just because I don't know it.
Yeah. She has a great album. I think it's called Heaven is a Place on Earth, or if that's like the lead single off of it.
That's her song?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't even know. Yeah, that's great. Of course, the song's a
And I'm pretty sure Diane Keaton directed that music video. Just gonna throw that out there. And she has another song called like "Leave a Light On for Me," and it's like "Darling, Leave a Light On for Me." But when I was a kid, I would hear it as "Daddy," and like I was like 6 or something, and I associated with my dad, like because I moved away, and like it's the songs about like coming home and like seeing your loved one and everything, and like I always have this memory of it. Was like it makes me think of my dad. So
beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, her solo stuff is good. I haven't really checked out the other like Jane's solo stuff or Kathy's, but I'm definitely gonna. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And I know that Jane also is in a book with Pleasant Gaiman that John Doe put together about the punk scene in LA at the time. I think it's called Under the Big Black Sun, and there's a second book that I can't remember the title to, but they're both in that with great stories from that era. So there's so much more material out there for people. And yeah, this one was a lot of fun. I really loved hearing their story, and it was so great seeing women kick such ass.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, that's that.
That's that. Well, I think I'm going to order a pizza.
Oh, that sounds good. What do you put on your pizza?
I think I'm going to have. Well, it's funny because this is going to be the first time I'll order something since TJ's been gone. And I've just been working like really long days the last couple of days, and I haven't been grocery shopping. And I know I said I've been vegetarian, but my first inclination is to get a Hawaiian pizza. I love Hawaiian pizza. So
you are a pineapple on pizza person.
Yeah.
So am I. I love pineapple. It works on pizza. I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah. So I'll bike to the store to pick it up, and I'll put it in my basket.
Yay! Awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy your pizza.
Thank you.
And it was so lovely seeing your face.
It was nice seeing you too, and I hope everybody enjoyed this. My background is going to change soon because we're going to be moving from the trailer into the house next week. And I have plans for this office. It is like, it's got 2 windows. It's so nice. It's big. It's got like yellow walls. I'm going to freshen it up. And I think I'm going to go for like a 60s and 70s aesthetic.
Nice. Ooh, I can't wait to see.
And then when we kind of record from there, I won't have to have a wall. Like I can even do the room in the background, and like that will look really nice. So this is going to change.
Amazing.
Yeah. Oh. All right, my friend. It was so nice to see you.
You too.
And goodbye.
I love doing these Zoom ones. So
Me
let's
too.
keep it up.
Let's keep doing it. And goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We love you.